Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics, SimplyRobotix. When listening to the show, use the hashtag SimplyRoboticsPod to join in the conversation. Welcome back for another episode. This week, I'm being joined by my dear friend, Jaren Merchant. Okay, if you have watched the two videos that I did with Deborah Anderson, also known as BlkWmnAnimator, Jaren was one of the panelists, if you will, speakers, along with myself and a bunch of other people. So I guess the best way to say it is that you can go to BlkWmnAnimator's YouTube channel. I will put the link in the show notes to watch those videos, but let's get into the episode. So, Jay, welcome to my podcast, like I said.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was like a long time. I wanted to do this a couple times early in the year, and then, the year happened the way it's been happening. So I did want to actually do this in person for the first time. So tell my listeners, for starters, where are you from?
Okay, hey everybody. My name is Jay. I'm originally from the Virgin Islands. I recently literally just moved to New Jersey. I moved to New Jersey and then the pandemic happened a week later.
Oh my God. But at least I got to see you like that one time, right?
Literally that first week I got here and then the country shut down.
Oh, we saw each other twice, actually. Yes.
Because I saw you during the initial move, like when we were up here apartment hunting.
Oh, okay.
And then the second time around we saw each other. We went and hung out. That was the week I moved here.
Oh, okay. Got it. And so where did you move from?
I moved from, believe it or not, Northwest Arkansas.
But you're like the only person I know from, I feel like, that part of the country. That part of the country. So what did you go to school for?
So I originally went to school. I did my undergrad at the illustrious Savannah State University. It's a HBCU out of Savannah, Georgia. I did just general bachelor's of visual performing arts with the emphasis in painting and illustration.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I decided I wanted to see my drawings move, and I got interested in animation. So I eventually ended up going back to school a couple of years later. I went to SCAD. The Savannah College of Art and Design.
So did you go to SCAD for another undergrad or for a master's?
I went to SCAD for animation, so it was another undergrad. But I ended up dropping out for various reasons. But yeah. So
is there any of those reasons you feel comfortable sharing?
Well,
you don't have to go into too much detail if you don't want to. Right
out of school, I come from an immigrant family, so I was like, I'm not going to be a doctor and engineer. So I joined corporate America for a couple of years. So I worked at the Walmart home office in corporate affairs and sustainability for a couple of years, about 3 or 4 years. And then I was just like, it wasn't a bad job. It's just I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my purpose, and I really wanted to get into animation. Applied to SCAD, got in, was there on like a full ride scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah. And then our president decided we didn't need a lot of the scholarships we were getting. I had a government funded scholarship and he pulled it. And SCAD was just like, so you got to the end of the month to run me my money or it's a wrap. I was like, cool. And they literally put me out in the middle of the semester or the middle of the quarter. It was like, your scholarship is no longer funded. So unless you could come up with some more money, because with government scholarships, they don't pay all of the money up front. They pay it in like quarters. So he pulled the scholarship in literally the middle of the quarter. So the check basically bounced and they were like, so this was cute. It was fun. You got to the end of the week. And I was like, cool. And by then I realized I was pretty much teaching myself a lot of the things that I was learning. So I didn't really feel too bad about having to leave, honestly. If we're going to be transparent, I didn't get much out of being there as SCAD. Like I met a lot of amazing people, a lot of cool professors, but if I'm going to be honest because I get asked about art school a lot. And if I'm going to be honest, if you're not a self-starter or self-motivator, don't bother going because you're not going to learn much. You know, you look up on 1 or 2 professors that are like all in and they're really passionate. Yeah, everybody's got a SCAD. SCAD is not doing too good in the news right now.
That's what I've heard. And I don't know too many people that actually went there. So I haven't really been hearing anything personally. It's just kind of what I've seen on Twitter as of lately. But I would have had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, every situation is different, but I just felt like I was doing more work to just be able to afford to go because I was on a scholarship. But the scholarship only covered like the tuition and stuff, so I still had to pay for like art supplies and gas and food and regular living. So I was at SCAD full time. I had a full time job and a part time job,
Oh,
so I
Lord.
wasn't really getting much out of my school experience. And, one of my professors had already pulled me aside and he was like, "You're going to have to make a choice." Because he was like, "There's no point in you being in school if you're missing everything because you're always at work."
Yeah, and that's just like such a real testimony for a lot of people who come from immigrant families or first gen,
Yeah.
going to college or especially going to something like art school. Like they don't tell you about that art supplies list.
Yeah, they
Like
don't tell you about those
that's
studio
so expensive.
fees, and because that's essentially what you're paying for. You're essentially for with art school. I tell people it's different. You're essentially paying for access to like studios and equipment that you wouldn't normally have access to. But
Right.
if you're having to work so much just to be able to be in the space, I was missing out on all of the seminars. I was missing out on all of like the extracurricular activities, like all of the art jams they were having. So I really wasn't getting like I was basically the Walmart. Everybody called me the Walmart girl at SCAD because I was the one girl that was always in a Walmart uniform because I was always at work. And then I wasn't like a cashier or anything. I ran human resources for the stores. I was still connected to the home office. So I ran human resources for the stores. So I was literally like trying to figure out how to be at school and be at work at the same time.
Wow.
Because school and work
Wow.
basically happened at the same time. So it was weird. It was so weird. I had some professors that were like understanding and they were flexible. And then I had other professors that were just like, so.
It was awful. That's awful. There's also been like a kind of surgence of professor and teacher experiences that I've been seeing on Twitter too.
What do you mean?
Like I have some friends that are educators and sometimes they're just having their conversations and then I'll see one person be like, "I can't believe teachers are saying this." And they were like, "Actually, I've had a teacher say worse to me, like, in junior high or in college
Oh,
or in
yeah.
elementary school." Yeah.
I
So
always tell people there's nothing worse than the unpassionate educator.
yeah. Yeah, but I had my share of those too in junior high.
Yeah, there's some people that are like truly burnt out, and instead of just like stepping down or finding something else fulfilling, they want to make other people miserable. But then you always have like there's like the good and the bad everything because you always have like I had a few professors at Sky that were like really really cool. Some of them I still talk to now. They check in and see how I'm doing.
That's nice.
But yeah, I mean your experience is what you make it. I basically went with the deck already stacked. I mean, I would do it different if I could. But yeah, art school is what you make of it. I personally would tell people not to go. I think college in general is more about figuring out who you are as a person, depending on what you go for or what you do.
Yeah, my feelings for art school, it's like I feel like certain majors you don't necessarily need to go to art school for. Like
Yeah.
for like illustration or fine art, I say like you don't need to collect that debt for.
No, and it's really opinion driven too.
Yes.
Because you may have a professor that loves everything you do, and then you may have a professor that hates everything you do and wants you to start over and be something else. I feel like if you're going for like to be an art educator or a historian, work in museums, anything in like education form, then yes, there's going to be some research and some study you need to do. But learning to paint, learning to animate, you can pretty much do all that on your own.
You can. My thing with art schools when it comes to animation, I just want people to like almost even take like that gap year to figure out if this is really like if art school is really the best way for them to go about this avenue. Because I come back to like the student debt. I do understand that enough studios pull people from art schools, and it seems like it's a direct line from art school to a particular studios.
Yeah.
However, there's starting to be something similar with like digital institutions. So it's now you're kind of finding your place. Like, do I spend the money on art school or the loans or whatever, or do I pay for these web courses? And it's like a space where I think you just need a little bit more time to figure out what's the right thing to do. Like maybe if I had went to an online schooling that was specifically for animation, maybe I actually would be an animator at this point in my life, you know?
Yeah,
But
I do think there's room for the curriculum. I think we need to change how we go about it.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think there's room for the curriculum, but I think we need to change what. Well, one, this pandemic has proven you can totally do school online. You can totally do school online, depending on what type.
But the thing in with 3D that makes it hard is like you have to have a proper like computer setup, which is what enough kids were experiencing from SVA.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't have the money to get it, is there a way to get it from your school or something that they could set you up with a proper processing computer, you know?
And that's where art school comes in, because most people end up going to art school because they want access to like those top-notch computers,
exactly,
those top-notch studio facilities. So there's that too. But then another thing that I learned, a lot of kids aren't, I don't know if the word is outgoing, but I think there's something to be said about being put in a situation where you have to collaborate with other people. And like you have to network and interact and engage with other people.
It's so funny. I was just having this networking conversation yesterday, actually. I do this mentorship circle group thing through Women in Animation, and I'm bringing on like a guest speaker for our meeting. And she was just talking about basically the power of networking for her, being from Oklahoma, kind of creating a space and name for herself here on the East Coast. It's through like digital networking. She used Twitter a lot and then would meet people from Twitter in person at different like art and motion graphic, you know, functions and stuff like that. And there is something with like this our generation and then the generation coming up under us that like they don't really engage in networking. And I'm speaking specifically for like art people, but I've also heard my friends in like nursing and education share the similar sentiments.
Yeah, people have completely like, I don't know if it's like undervaluing the importance of interacting with people, and not necessarily like I was trying to explain to someone last night, the importance of like, you don't just interact with people in the name of an opportunity. Sometimes you just need to build a reputation with, you know, like not necessarily a reputation, but just build a relationship with somebody. Like get to know them as a person, not just like, oh, this might be a potential gig. I'm like, no, get to know this person as a person, what they do, what their family does. You guys might have interests, and who knows, like a lifelong friendship might even build out of that. And from what I'm learning, a lot of the gigs that I get come from people that I actually met in school and became friends with.
Same. So going back to your jobs, you told us like, was Walmart like your first job ever?
No.
Okay, what was your first job? And then what was your first industry related job?
I'm the stereotypical Caribbean immigrant, so I've had a ton of jobs. My first ever job was, I'm an Army brat. So my first ever job was on a military base at a gun range.
Whoa.
And the soldiers would come in and do their weapons training, and I would like inspect their weapons, make sure they had the right had the right weapon, they were using the right bullets and stuff, and checking their target practice. And then the retired vets would come in and do a lot of hunting and stuff. So I would come in and do all of that. That was my first job. I've had a lot of jobs.
This is becoming one of my favorite questions.
Yeah, and then I've done everything from working at a gun range. I've been a preschool teacher. I worked at McDonald's. I've been a nanny. I've done it all, honestly.
No, I hear you. I'm in the same boat, like you said, just like, you know, real Caribbean with it, you know? So what was your first like industry job?
My first industry job,
gig?
I did character designs. I did some character designs. I had no idea what I was doing, and I did them in watercolor. And I was so happy to get the gig. She was like, well, do you have experience? And I was just like, sure. Yeah, I got all the experience. And just figured it out like as I went. I like researched like animation character designs and like just tried to do my best. Those designs will never see the light of day. I had no idea what I was doing. It was kind of like the whole jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down. But my first gig was character designing for a show that never came to be.
Oh.
Yeah, the show never came to be, but it was for like a YouTube channel, and I helped do like these character designs for these kids. Because she was like, I really, really like the way you draw. The lady kept looking for someone to draw Black characters. And she was like, she couldn't find anyone that can like draw Black characters, and she liked the way I drew them. But at that time, I was just drawing like front-facing 2D flat characters. I had no idea what a turnaround was. I had no idea about like drawing characters from different angles and doing like facial expressions and all of that. I was just drawing. I was just happy to be drawing.
That's exciting. And how old, like about how old were you?
I think I was 18. I was still in college when I did it.
Oh, nice.
I was still in college. Yeah, I was always trying to figure out how to hustle something up. Just like, how can I make money and do what I love and like mash it together? So I was always saying that I can do something. I'm always saying that I can do something and then figure it out later.
I hear you. I'm with that too. Like, I like to tell my mentees and my interns, like, just mainly like, don't cancel yourself out of an opportunity. You know, they're very quick to like, oh, I don't meet like 2 or 3 of these requirements. I may as well not apply. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like,
yeah,
no.
Like, I always tell people like, do it. I'm just like, you know how many unqualified people out here doing what you want to do simply because they have the confidence to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings me to now in 2020. What kind of work are you doing, or like what kind of job do you have now?
Oh, so I am basically freelancing. I'm all throughout the pipeline. I do character designs. I do storyboards. I do a little bit of 2D. I've kind of pulled back on the 2D animation because now that I'm seeing what my peers are producing, I'm like, I need to go fine tune my chops. I need to go sharpen up my skills. So that's basically what I've been doing throughout the pandemic. I'm working on an unannounced children's show right now.
Nice.
Mostly doing pre-visual development. It's really, really fun. I like it. And yeah, I've just been like honing in my skills. But as of lately, I'm doing some character designs for an unannounced show.
Well, I also want you to plug this recent endeavor that you just completed about someone's little doll.
Oh,
you mind telling my listeners about that project?
Yes, okay, so if you guys aren't familiar, Serena Williams, the greatest athlete ever, and her husband, Alexis Ohanian Sr., the CEO of Reddit, have an amazing daughter, Olympia. Olympia has this doll named Quay Quay that she absolutely adores. And that they reached out to me to do a coloring book, to do like a quarantine themed coloring book for Quay Quay and all the activities that Quay Quay does to get through quarantine. And it was just like a quick little coloring book we did for it's for free download. You can download the coloring pages if you go to my Instagram or any of their Instagrams. You can see the link for it and download the coloring pages. Nice. And that was really, really cool. So and then he tweeted me about a week or two ago, and thanked me for the project. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I was trying to explain to my parents what happened, and they don't get it. My dad was just like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, no, Dad, you don't understand. He's the CEO of Reddit. And he was like, what's a Reddit? And I'm like, all right, Papa, it's okay.
Cool. Okay. So you also shared with me in like, the little pre-guest survey form thing that I do, that your focus is on diverse representation through children's literature and visual development for animated TV shows and feature films. Yes. And then you also said that your mission is to provide today's youth a window into themselves through inspiration, imagination, and illustration.
It sounds so official when someone else says it.
It does, but you typed it very well. So I literally just did copy paste. And can you just elaborate a bit more about like your vision and your mission?
Yes. Okay. So everyone says like we need more diverse representation. But it's slowly but surely coming to fruition. I'm just trying to do my part in filling that gap. I know in children's books, Black and brown children, so I think African American children make up maybe 10%. Afro-Latino kids or Latinx kids are right behind with like 7%. Indigenous or Native only make up 1%, which is actually very, very sad. Asian Americans make up about 12 to 13%. And then the rest is basically Caucasian and Shrek and Magical Toys and Trucks. Now, for the animation side, I've been trying to do some research on it, but no one's really been running the numbers I'm seeing. Like when they talk about diversity, it's usually from a gender perspective, and it's usually like a cis male female gender perspective. So like we've got a lot of work to do on that front. But I know like there are a few shows. There's like the Craig on the Creek. Was it Steven's Universe? But we still got so much to go. And there's more than one way to depict Black characters, and I'm just trying to widen the gap in that.
I hear you. And then too, like we're still on the surface in terms of just like Black and brown characters where they're usually of one or two different types.
Yeah,
you know?
there's like a mold they pick from.
Yeah, like usually like they're either African American and then maybe they're Jamaican, you know?
Right.
And that's like it.
That's
and
it.
then when we come to like Latinx characters, they're like Dora and Sophia the 1st. And then that's like it, you know? So yeah, I feel like there is something about that though, the racial makeup of characters.
Yeah.
However, what you started to tweet about was getting into the gender, or not gender. Yeah, gender and like identity of them from, was it still gender that you were looking for?
Yeah, well, I was looking at it from
gender and sexuality.
I was looking at it just from the physical makeup, honestly, and then I started like doing reading and articles, and it's literally like, so what I'm learning is, and it's a difficult conversation to have, but it has to be said, when most people are coming from the diversity lens, or when most people are writing, from what I'm seeing, when most people are writing about the diversity lens, it's usually from a white perspective. And I'm noticing in the white perspective, when they say diversity, they don't actually mean true diversity. They mean diversity within their scope. So they're looking at diversity from white male to white female. They're not actually looking at diversity from not just a male, female, trans perspective. They're not looking at it from like the whole encompassing. They're looking at it from the 4 feet between me and him.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, we have to get more perspective. I think that's another thing. It's because people are usually in tune with what affects them directly. You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, we've seen that with the pandemic, unfortunately.
Right. Like if it's not necessarily affecting you, you don't really, it's not even in your thought process because it's not direct to you. So I'm like, we need more different perspectives of people researching. I wonder if it's just something that's already been happening. It just hasn't reached the surface yet. But yeah, I was on Twitter scoping. I was like, let me ask the Twitter streets. They're usually pretty informed about these kind of things.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of would have to start going through maybe like if any Tumblr accounts like still exist,
right,
and seeing what could be there, because I feel like Tumblr, yeah, Tumblr used to talk about like stuff like that, and then start kind of going through YouTube and seeing if there's any video essays about that kind of stuff.
Because I see people talk about it, but no one's hit it from like a numbers game or a percentage game.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like you're saying, it's kind of like self-interest. Like if there's no interest for those people to do so, then like why?
But then I also wonder if people are hesitant to do it because the numbers are going to show, basically prove the point. You know what I mean? Like take Black Panther, for example. They was like, oh, a Black film with an all-Black cast and a Black director and a Black lead is not going to have global success. And then they made it, and it not only had global, like it just completely shattered their whole idea that Black films can't surpass a Black audience. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now that it's basically shattered their whole premonition, they're trying to change the rules and say, oh, well, that was a special case. You know, like it won't happen again. That was very, very specific to that moment in time. I'm like, okay, sure. Where are the numbers?
You're like, yeah, that's kind of making me think of SpiderVerse too. Like, had Miles Morales been like more of a solo character than kind of being a part of a cast, like if there's any sort of correlation. Yeah.
I feel like he would have had an even bigger impact because he would have had more of an opportunity to shine. But I get, like, for storytelling purposes and all that, why they went that direction. But still, it was just cool to see how all the kids like responded to him and to see like even within that how diverse that was, because he wasn't just from a Black family. Like he had an Afro Latino mom, like, you know what I'm saying, he was Afro Latino. He danced, he kind of jumped in between two communities. He had his issues with school, but he was also trying to like save the world. Like he was still very, very much relatable to everybody. And then the way they infused like pop culture with hip hop, and the way don't get me started on Into the Spider-Verse.
I know. I need to have like a separate SpiderVerse like episode just
that
dedicated
could be
to
a whole class. Like SpiderVerse itself can be a whole class. Like they literally figured out how to bring a comic book to life. Do you know, when I was sitting in that theater, my head exploded when that movie started. Like my best friend was so irritated with me. I was like, you don't understand what's happening right now. I was like, it's a comic book. It's an animation. I was like, it's 5 different styles of animation and happening at the same time. And it works. So she was just like, can we just watch the movie? I was like, whatever. I'm going to just have to come back and enjoy this by myself because you just don't understand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I saw that movie like 3 or 4 times opening weekend. Like I just kept going with different people, so like I can enjoy them experiencing it for the first time.
That's so like, you don't ask me how many times I went to go see Black Panther. Just for Winston Duke alone. Whew.
Oh my God. I get it. I completely get it. So that like concludes the interview portion of the podcast. So we're gonna move on to have some fun. Right?
Ooh, I feel like we just leveled up in like a video game or something.
I don't know. We could be going the opposite way depending. Who knows? So I did ask you to share some of your favorite movies and TV shows. So we're going to go through them, right?
Okay, cool.
First one that you shared was Spirited Away. And I like to play this little game right now and ask the people to recap the movie for anyone who may not have seen it.
Oh, okay. Check this. All right, bless it. So, Spirited Away is a film about a young girl who kind of struggles with her confidence and seeing like the power within herself. And she ends up going on this magical journey to a spiritual bathhouse, where she basically learns the power that she has within herself. And it's just like this cool, amazing, magical journey along the way. # no spoilers.
Hey, that was great. So why is it one of your favorite movies?
It was just the first time I saw it, I was just like flipping through the TV and it was like on the HBO. It was like it had subtitles and everything, but I watched it anyway. It was just something magical about storytelling. I'm always really pulled in about like a really amazing storytelling, and the story itself is just solid. The animation is beautiful. And you don't often see storylines with young girls basically like finding the power within themselves. There wasn't like a love interest or anything like that. It wasn't like she has to marry somebody at the end of the film or find true love at the end of the film. It was literally about a girl who just needed to save herself. And that's exactly what she did.
Love it. Do you have a favorite character? Like, is she your favorite character?
My favorite character in Spirited Away is who's the spider guy in the he does the cold.
Oh dang, I had his name.
It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it, but he just reminds me of like that old grumpy grandpa that actually loves you but has like a really bad way of showing it.
Let's see. The Kamaji?
Yes.
That's his name.
Kamaji, yes, because Kamaji just reminds me of like that old grandpa.
Yeah, like he's I was not a fan of him.
Really?
I mean, I don't like spiders. I'm not terrified, but I don't like spiders.
I'm
so
not
like
a fan of spiders.
He was like, okay. So do you have a least favorite character?
Yubaba. She got on my last nerve.
Understood. Your next movie you had. I didn't see this movie. I realized I only saw the documentary about the movie, but I didn't actually see it. I know it's with everything else. It's on my list. So for people like myself that's never seen The Thief and the Cobbler, can you recap the movie?
Monique, you've never seen The Thief and the Cobbler? Okay.
I don't know how we got here.
If you work in film and you have like a list of films, y'all gotta start watching films. Y'all gotta start watching more films. I can't believe you've never seen The Thief and the Cobbler. It is literally like the most ambitious. It was SpiderVerse before SpiderVerse.
I saw the documentary about it. I didn't realize I didn't actually see it. I would have seen it. I would have seen it before the recording.
Okay, so for people who've never seen The Thief and the Cobbler, it's literally Into the Spider-Verse before the Spider-Verse. It's like literally one of the most ambitious animated films ever created. According to Richard Williams, he still doesn't feel like it's finished. It's a beautiful, phenomenal film. It's the story is actually quite simple, but the animation itself is beautiful. The Thief and the Cobbler is about a cobbler who basically gets caught up in like a miscommunication game and ends up in a situation that he really didn't want to be in, but he falls in love with a girl. And I'm trying not to spoil it, but tell you the story. And ends up on an epic. Essentially, he ends up on an epic adventure due to a miscommunication. And it's like the most epic adventure of adventures.
And so, why is it your favorite?
Just because the one I saw it, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. Just like the way they tackle angles, the color is beautiful, the lines of the drawings. You ever just have something that just speaks to you? Thief and Cobbler. I wish you could see me now. We're gonna get to
it. We're gonna get to that movie.
The Thief and the Cobbler is. I don't know where you guys can watch it.
You can probably watch it.
It's one of those old animated films that you probably have to like order. I know you can stream it on Vudu. I think apparently you can stream it on Vudu. But I think it might be one of those films that you have to literally go buy a physical copy of.
Maybe so.
But Richard Williams is the director. If you guys don't know, Richard Williams is like one of the godfathers of animation. He is the creator of what we call the Animator's Bible, or the Animator Survival Kit. I call it the Animator's Bible.
Yeah, basically.
He also did Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're familiar with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you're familiar with Richard Williams.
And if I'm correct, isn't there like speculation that like Disney stole this concept and created Aladdin?
I cannot confirm or deny.
So do you share similar sentiments? Like, could you see maybe where they were coming from with that, or like, was it a reach?
No, it's Aladdin. Or Aladdin is the Thief and the Cobbler.
Okay, so there's some similarities for sure. Okay,
Disney is not ashamed to say, "Oh, that's a nice story you have there." Be ashamed if somebody were to adapt it
and put it out before you.
It's a cold, cold world.
Do you have a favorite character?
My favorite character in The Thief and the Cobbler is the cobbler, because I love the underdog. He's the underdog. He's like, they completely underestimate him and he comes out on top.
And least favorite character?
The villain. The evil guy. He's just mean. I just don't like mean people. Sneaky people. I'm gonna have to go watch that. I haven't seen The Thief and the Cobbler in a long time.
Well, I'm looking forward to maybe tomorrow or something. I'll watch it.
I have a documentary somewhere around here on it. I need to watch the documentary that I have.
Yeah, that's the one that's about like, how basically Richard Williams was taking forever to make this, and like he couldn't let it go. Like he just kept having to make it better. Yeah.
It was his baby.
Yeah, it's a very good documentary.
By his standards, he still like, it's not finished.
And I mean, an artist struggle, you know? Yeah. The last movie that we're going to get into is Kiraku and the Sorceress. So how you said you feel about The Thief and the Cobbler is how I felt about this movie.
Yeah.
I saw this in college. It was in a history of animation class. And I was literally like, this is amazing. Like, how come, like, I've never heard or seen about this, like, in my whole entire life, you know? And I was just like, I feel like this should be a bigger deal than it is. And I was just, like, not satisfied. And I remember I wrote, like, this passionate, like, art paper, whatever, assignment, just about because this was like wasn't this like a French South African or something director?
Yeah,
Right. And so in my paper, I was comparing how someone who's not a part of a culture can depict something so artistically and tastefully, being these people with Kiriku, versus Disney taking
But then,
something like Pocahontas, for instance,
oh,
And not
okay,
that
so
Pocahontas isn't bad, but I was just like comparing white people taking a person of color allegedly story and telling it or whatever, or
Pocahontas
putting it on
is my
screen.
least. My Pocahontas makes my eye twitch. I have
I'm
to
so
go on
sorry.
record and
I
say
love
I hate that movie. If there was a thing that I could hate, it's Pocahontas. I just burn it with fire. Wow. Pocahontas is the perfect example of what happens when you want to tell a story, but you do absolutely no research, or someone does the research and everybody says, let's toss it out the window. Absolutely no research went into Pocahontas. First of all, Pocahontas, the character design, is definitely someone of Hawaiian descent that is not a Native American girl. Those are Hawaiian people running around dressed up as natives. Second of all, the whole story is jacked up. The whole story is just like, okay, so like, you know how they're doing this thing now where they're like pulling stuff from the past and showing how it doesn't hold up now in 2020. Pocahontas is one of those things. It doesn't hold up now just let me take a deep breath.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people that just love Pocahontas.
You do? I'm so sorry. I just
No, it's
stomped all
fine
over it.
because I'm well aware of this stuff. For me, it's like, man, I know that this is wrong, but I'm just going to go back to like 1990, 4 or whatever, and just lock myself in that bubble and enjoy this for what it is. But still, like, again, being like a grown or not being a child anymore, and then seeing Kiriku and comparing it to this, and you're like, wow, just like look how it can be done in a much better way. So anywho, we're talking about this movie. The people don't know what it is. Can you recap it for them?
So Kiraku and the Sorceress is an amazing story. It is about a little boy that is born in a village. And what's so crazy is like he makes a hell of an entrance. So he's literally born. His mom literally gives birth. He hops out, jumps in the bathtub and washes himself. And it's like, cool, I'll see you later. I'll be back for dinner. And he goes on like his little adventure. Like he's pretty confident in himself. He literally comes out the womb walking and strutting like James Brown. He talks very, very well to be a newborn child. But he also learns that there is a local, we call them Obia, but she's like a local village witch or sorceress that comes and she like takes the people of his village and she tricks them. And he basically goes and figures out a way to beat her at her own game, essentially. This little kid, he goes and he beats her own game. And he basically turns her from evil to good again. And just the way he goes about it is so cool. He's so smart. Kiriku is a great example of why we just don't need diversity in visual representation. We need diversity in storytelling as well. I feel like we've gotten into, or I feel like the West has gotten into this rut where they're just regurgitating the same stories over and over, and they'll change like a few things here. Oh, cool. She was white in the original version. Let's make her black in the new version.
I mean,
Oh, it was
basically,
animated in the old version. Let's make it live action in the new version. But it's literally the same story.
Yep. And I had touched on that in one of my previous episodes, the episode called Black, where it was like, does this character like even need to be black? Like, is it significant to the story or whatever?
Or
it's
you
like
guys
this
just looking for diversity. It's like a checkbox. They're just checking off, picking off something on the check.
Any character of any race or any gender doesn't mean anything to the story, but like, should it? And this is again going back to what you're saying. Like, it's important to have diversity in the storytelling as well, not just the characters on screen.
Yeah, like they're doing this thing where if they were black, they'll make them white. If they were male, they'll make them female. It's just no.
So why is this one of your favorites?
Just the overall storytelling. Like, it was cool to see a story that wasn't rooted in Western culture, to see this epic adventure that kind of like highlighted African folklore. I'm looking at people that I can relate to. It was just something new and refreshing at the time when I saw it. It was a break from like the Disney formula. And it's just a really good story at the end of the day. I feel like if you've got a solid story, your visuals are just icing on the cake.
Right.
Look at Avatar. There's a whole new generation experiencing Avatar all over again. Like it's the story is so solid, it's holding up over generations.
I'm excited. I've just started watching it because God knows I don't know why I'm not a big fan of anime, and I was aware that this was an anime or an American take on like anime visually. Mm-hmm. So the only anime I really liked was like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and Ghibli films.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest anime person either. I'm not. For me, a lot of it has to do with episodic. I'm not really into episodic things. Like, I'd rather watch a movie, get the whole story, and go. I don't want to have to keep coming back to it. So I think that's one of my hesitations with anime. But I'm trying to start getting into it. But when you start asking an anime head, you got to be careful with what you might get into. Oh, they'll send you down a wormhole. Like they gave me so much content, I don't know what to choose from.
Exactly. So with Avatar, I'm not too sure. It came out when I was a teenager, and I didn't really get into it then. But I've always heard people just be so caught up in it and talk about how great it was, blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, now it's on Netflix. I'm just going to watch a little bit as every night if I can, and experience the show that way.
Yeah, because now you could watch it. You could binge it now. You don't have to worry about coming back every week and catching it at a certain time.
Right.
For kids who don't know, you used to have to actually catch it live on TV. You didn't have to just stream it.
Right, and that's probably why I never picked it up, because I was already like seasons behind or too many episodes behind. So,
and that's back when shows were longer than 8 episodes.
Yeah,
you had to sit through 22 of them bad boys.
Do you have a favorite character from the Kiraku movie?
My favorite character from is Kiraku himself. Like he's just stand out. Second runner up would be Yubaba, just because she was so layered. And once you actually got down like to the meat and potatoes of why she was the way she wasn't just a villain to be a villain. Like something happened. And then once they finally like built that up and you got into like why she was the way she was, you had a better understanding for her and appreciation for her. Well, I did a better appreciation for her as a character.
That's interesting. So that again makes me go back to like a Disney comparison and a villain just being a villain, being Ursula.
I feel like they did Ursula a great disservice by not giving her a backstory.
Exactly. And like, I'm sure I haven't personally done research to find out what Ursula or whatever she was derived from's backstory, but I feel like she's a villain just to be a villain. And I want to know, like, me personally, the way they did Maleficent, I want an Ursula version,
I cannot remember this person's name, and I'm so mad because I'm really big on crediting artists. Someone did like a backstory, like a what if backstory on Ursula, and it basically said like they made up this whole, it was like a fan story, and they were like, what if Ursula and King Triton were brother and sister, and because of like some freak accident that happened when they were kids, Ursula ended up going from being like a mermaid to a squid essentially. And because she ended up becoming a squid and having to carry all that evil stuff, over time it turned her evil. Like maybe there's something Triton ain't telling everybody.
That's very interesting. I want more. I want to know. I feel like she's just been one of the most interesting villains for me, and I want to have a backstory for her.
Yeah, instead of doing this, because I think they did like a spinoff where she ended up having kids in her life as like mermaid, as a queen. I was like, I would have appreciated y'all doing like let's figure out how Ursula got here.
Yeah, exactly. So also I want to move on to some TV shows that you mentioned. Yes. Starting with Happily Ever After, Stories for Every Child. So can you, in a nutshell, say what this show is about?
So take your old fairy tale, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Rapunzel, and basically diversify them for kids of every age, race, and color. So they may take the Little Mermaid, and instead of her being a little redheaded white girl, instead she was a little Chinese girl in the Chinese Ocean. Or take Rapunzel, and instead of her being a white blonde girl, she's Puerto Rican with thick curly locks. Take the Three Little Bears, and instead of it being Goldilocks, it's a black girl with dreads. Like it was something like that.
Yeah, for me, I really liked that they went into a bit more specificity with their diversity. I didn't even say it like that, but it's just like it wasn't just like a white girl with blonde hair. You know, maybe she was actually in Sweden. You know, it wasn't just, you know, like they really hit some nuances with the location that these stories were taking place as well.
And the other thing was cool was the voice actors. So like back then,
yes.
1 week it may be the Wicked Witch of the West, may be Whoopi Goldberg, or another week it could be Oprah, or another week it could be LeVar Burton. Like it was so cool to just like hear who was going to be the different characters.
And then there was it the Princess and the Pauper or whatever, where it was Raven? Was that the one?
Yeah.
No, where it was like the two girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the reasons why that show was so diverse is because Bruce W. Smith was on it. Bruce W. Smith did The Proud Family, Bebe's Kids, Princess and the Frog. He's like my animation mentor in my head, I guess you could say. Like, he's who got me into, like, literally, he's the reason that I got into animation. I saw him, like, you know, do you remember when Disney used to do, like, those in-between shows? And they would have, like, an animator or artist do, like, this is how you draw Mickey Mouse. And literally, it was him, and he was drawing something from Emperor's New Groove was about to come out. And he was drawing something from Emperor's New Groove. And I was just sitting there like, that's a black man drawing cartoons. Like I had never seen, like the thought never even occurred to me that I had never seen anybody that looked like me drawing.
Right.
And then like I saw that and literally like the world shifted. And I was like, I now know my path.
I'd love to hear it. But speaking about Bruce Smith, we're just going to move on to The Proud Family. You had that as being one of your favorite shows. And I know, like, you have to know about The Proud Family. But in case you've never really watched
been under a rock, The Proud Family is literally an animated sitcom. It's literally an animated sitcom about a young girl, Penny Proud. She's like preteen age, and her family and friends, all of the day-to-day shenanigans they get into. But it's cool because they're a black family, so they'll have stuff like the family cookout, or like one year they had she met a young girl that was Muslim, and she learned all about like Ramadan and stuff. Like that was so cool.
Yeah, God love The Proud Family. I love The Proud Family because I had loved Bebe's Kids, and it just felt like an evolution of that. But then to learn that it's like all connected, you know, whatever. The last TV show that you have is Rugrats.
If you don't know what the Rugrats is, honestly, I don't know what to tell you. The Rugrats is about a bunch of babies that get stuff done. They get in all different kinds of shenanigans. They literally do most of these things in front of their adult family's eyes, and it completely goes over their head. You got the whole squad. You got Tommy, Phil, Lil, Angelica, and don't forget the amazing Susie Carmichael, who didn't take no mess from nobody.
Okay. Do you have a favorite moment from the Rugrats?
My favorite moment is when Susie thought her family left her, but they was literally just moving all the furniture. Susie was like, they don't want me no more. I'm out here struggling all my life. I had to fight, and y'all just don't leave me. And then she was like, I got a new room.
I know you're not laughing at Susie's pain like this.
Susie was going through it in that episode. Like even Angelica was like, dang, Shawty, they really finna leave you.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard it put that way. Okay. So we have another set of games, right? And then this usually moves pretty quickly. It's called One's Gotta Go. I don't know if you're familiar with this game.
Oh, yeah.
So starting with Spirit Away, I have Haku, No Face, Chihiro, and Lynn. One's Gotta Go.
Lynn gotta go because Lynn ain't really serve no purpose, honestly.
Had I known you liked the spider guy, I would have thrown him in here, but I stuck with Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn didn't really do much. She just got her up to the other floors, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm missing something.
For the Thief and the Cobbler, we have the Thief and the Cobbler, Princess Yum Yum, Tack the Cobbler, King Nod, and was it Chief Ruthless?
Okay. Dang, this one's hard.
Good, because I didn't know anything about these people.
See, because they're all like essential to his character development. I'm gonna say Princess Yum Yum, even though
She's
she
gotta
was like
go?
the motivational drive. Yeah,
Dang.
she gotta be
Packed
more than
her
the
up.
cute face. Yeah.
For the Proud Family, we have 2 rounds for the Proud Family.
Oh no.
We have Penny Proud, La Cienega,
La
Dejan-
Cienega
Wait,
is a winner.
Dejanay and Zoe. One's gotta go.
Oh, La Cienega is a winner. Okay, wait. You said Dejanay, La Cienega, Penny, or who?
Zoe.
Duh. I'm gonna have to say Zoe. Dang, she was a writer though. Zoe gotta go.
Zoe's gotta go. Okay, next round we have Oscar Proud, Sugar Mama, Bobby Proud, and Wizard Kelly.
Not Uncle Bobby. A lot of people don't know that was Cedric the Entertainer.
That was what?
Cedric the Entertainer.
Cedric? Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to say Wizard Kelly, y'all.
Okay. Wizard Kelly gotta go. So Rugrats stepped it up. We have 3 rounds for Rugrats.
Oh.
First round, the boys, Tommy, Chucky, Phil, and Dill. One's gotta go.
Dill gotta go. He ain't been around that long. You wasn't with us shooting in the gym.
Oh no. Girls, Angelica, Lil, Susie, and Kimmy.
Kimmy gotta go too. She ain't part of the original squad. She ain't with the OG.
I love Kimmy.
Kimmy gotta bounce.
I love her. I really do. So now we have the adults last round. Stu Pickles, Charlotte Pickles, Dee Dee Pickles, Drew Pickles, Grandpa Lou, or Betty DeVille.
I'm gonna have to say Stu.
Dang.
Because for someone to be so intelligent, he was just as equally unintelligent.
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty dumb, unfortunately.
And he was a lot of the reason they got into the mess they got into.
Yeah.
Especially all the reptile adventures.
It's kids. So we are winding down, but I just got two more questions for you.
Okay.
Which animated character, are you the most like?
Oh, wow. That's... I guess you would say, work ethic wise, Princess Tiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to say I'm a combination of Toph of The Last Airbender and Princess Tiana. Boom.
Okay. I will know what that means soon enough.
Yeah.
Last question. Using animated characters, cast your biopic.
Oh, snap. Whoa. I need time for something like that. You can't just spring that on me. Okay. Who would play me? I don't know. Like, y'all think you stumped me with that one, Monique?
Okay, so
who will be yours?
I feel like I am probably... It would be between Susie Carmichael or Bubbles would be me.
Bubbles? What's Bubbles from?
Powerpuff Girls?
Oh, Bubbles!
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that would be me. My mother would probably be a bit like... My mother, I can't actually imagine as a cartoon character. But I would say that she probably would be a bit of like a Sugar Mama and Trudy Proud, like if they could fuse them. My dad, I actually feel like would be Wizard Kelly, which is funny in itself.
Wizard Kelly, y'all.
Yeah. I feel like yeah, that's kind of it for right now. But I would be a fusion of Susie and Bubbles. You can cast as much as your family, or if you want to do like your best friend, you and your best friend, that's fine too.
I don't know, because she's literally an animated character herself. Jasmine is Raven. So if Raven Simone, if That's So Raven was an animated character, that would literally be Jasmine.
That's hilarious.
I don't know about myself though. I'm gonna be sitting on this for the rest of the day. I can't think of one.
I guess you said, can you cast your parents?
Okay, so my dad would be a combination of the dad from the movie Brave and the spider guy from
Spirited Away?
Yes. If you could figure out how to fuse those two together, that would be my papa. My stepmom would be like Sugar Mama. I guess she's more like Sugar Mama. Jasmine is in there cracking up.
And you were doing this?
Yeah, my little sister would be. I have 8 brothers and sisters, so my little sister would be La Cienega.
Okay.
My older sister would. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want to do all your sisters, or you could just do like 2?
I got 3 sisters.
Okay, so just do your sisters.
No, my sisters would be the gross sisters.
Oh no!
I hope they hear this. My sisters, there we go. I'll sum that up for you right there in a nice pretty little package. They would be the gross sisters.
Okay. Did you do your mom?
My stepmom would be like a combination.
You did, yeah.
Sugar Mama and someone else. I said, I can't remember.
Okay. Well, that could be it. You did your siblings. You did parents.
Yeah, I don't know yourself. Who I would be as an animated character.
You don't know who would play you.
Me. I don't know who would play me. You know what? I'm gonna be at the grocery store thinking about this. I'm gonna be in the shower thinking about this. I'm gonna be cooking dinner thinking about this. Look what you did.
It's one of my favorite questions. It does stump people
really
a lot.
Good question.
But it's fun because they do so much. I don't even know how they call it, but the fake casting for movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, what if you could cast your life as a cartoon? Who would play you?
I can always do that for other people, but never for myself.
Well, look at that. I'm very much like Bubbles, where when she gets mad, it's just holy crap, but you're so nice and adorable. Why would you know?
But then once they set you off, it's a wrap.
Yeah. It's it's a mess. And then I can see the Susie Carmichael trying to get justice for all and stuff, whatever, and being right.
Yeah.
And being wrong at the same time, but still being right. So anywho, that concludes the episode though. So thank you for joining and participating
in having me.
Yeah, I told you.
We finally did this.
I know. I told you it was going to be a good time. You didn't have much to worry about. I'd like to thank the listeners for tuning in.
Yeah, Jay, thanks guys.
Can you just drop your social medias and websites if you want right here?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at Jaren Merchant, JAARONMERCHANT. And yeah, feel free to shout me out, say hey, I love chatting, making new friends, all that good stuff.
And all the links to her websites and the Quay book is going to be in the show notes, so you can check that out.
I keep forgetting about that.
Don't worry about it. I got you. So until next time, bye.
Bye.